Hello, one and all, and welcome to Girls Run These Worlds. You have joined us. We are so excited for our very first episode of Freezerburnt, which is a Masks a New Generation actual play where every one of our heroes has something in common. That's right. Somewhere in the past, they have been fridged, which is that fun old comic book trope, if you're not familiar, where a character usually female of other marginalized identity, but can be anybody, ends up hurt, depowered, or otherwise sidelined in order to spur forward someone else's character development. Not fun. But over the course of this series, we're going to follow the stories of these fridged heroes as they work to take back their narrative together. It's going to be so much fun, and let's not delay any further. I'm Allie, and I am so thrilled to be GMing for this amazing group, this amazing adventure, this amazing system brought to us by Magpie Games. And I'm even more thrilled to introduce you to our cast. Anita, would you please start us off, introduce yourself, your character, and tell us what you're looking forward to most in our first session together?
Oh, hello. I'm first. My name is Anita. Today I will be playing Stacy Jane. Stacy uses she, her pronouns. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns. Um, yeah, Stacy's superhero name is Cold Cock. Um, the character playbook that she's playing is the Bull. Uh, and oh gosh, I just love Masks so much. It's my favorite game. And I love sharing a table with Allie. So when it seems like a whole bucket of W's here, gang. So without further ado, I'm gonna pass it to Mateo.
Hello, I am Mateo. You might know me as the Milk Boy. Uh, my pronouns are she, him. I'll be playing Alice Fox, aka Witch. Um, she, her. Uh, and I'll be the Nova for this game. And I am excited to play Masks very much. And I am also excited to use this D6 that has a little duck in it, if you can see that.
Oh,
And I was sick. And yeah, that's for me. I will pass it to Alice now.
hi guys. I'm Alice Hart. She, they pronouns. I will be playing Lee Daring, they, them pronouns. You might be hearing Lee referred to as another name during this series, but worry about that later. Their hero name is Carrion, and they are our delinquent. And what I'm most looking forward to is all of these teenage dramatics we will be getting up to and just getting to know these characters a little bit more. And with that, I will pass it over to Diana.
Hello, that's all. I go by Diana Moon online. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm going to be playing Morena Rena de la Caravallere. I actually mispronounced my own last name, but that happens sometimes. She, they, about 16-7-ish. And they are playing the Doomed. I really enjoy Masks. Rarely get to be a player, so I'm very excited to be a player here. And I'm also excited to try to use the whole villainess regression trope and see how that works in Masks and see what trouble I can cause all these actual heroes to do. And then I'll swing it back to Allie.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So with that, with all of those lovely things to look forward to, let's begin. Our issue that we're starting today begins with a big splash panel. It's the inside of the central hall of the HCB Planetarium, and it is in chaos. This tall vault ceiling room is it's dark. It's clearly after visiting hours here, but it's far from empty. Suspended from the ceiling, high above the marble floor, are huge models of the planets of our solar system. The sun at the center of it is like at least 30 feet across. But they're not, hanging serenely the way that you would expect scientific models to be in a museum set up situation. Instead, they are swinging dangerously from the strong but thin cords that hold them aloft as a dozen flying robots that are pink and metallic. They've got like swiveling round heads above cylindrical bodies, are weaving their way between them, knocking them into precarious positions. So you all, the defrigerators, have come to this place, the HCB Planetarium, on a tip to stop some heinous activity by the villainous Emerita. But in this panel, she's nowhere to be seen. It's just these flying henchmen of fluorescent pink. Lee, I would like to start with your portion of the panel. In this chaotic scene with these robots flying around all over the place, where do you think we find Carrion?
Carrion's going to, just based on their general power set, try and stay out of the direct fight. Instead, they are probably either towards the back or towards the best concealed position, trying to put up illusions. Most of them being walls or other large obstacles to try and siphon these little creatures further into like a position for the rest of their team to be able to take them all down.
Awesome. Great. So we've got Lee putting up some psychic walls, maybe tucked into way like down around the corner where the bathrooms are, trying to get a good spot. Okay, great. Lee, so that's you now. The next panel we're going to move to after the splash panel is a flashback to maybe what Lee was doing to prepare for this. You knew that you were going to be going into the planetarium after hours on this tip about Emerita, the villain. What do you think Lee would have been doing, if anything, to kind of prepare earlier in that day?
They were definitely probably reviewing any schematics they have of the building because they know they're best suited towards not direct fighting. So they're trying to figure out where they can place themselves, where they can kind of hopefully convince the rest of their team they need to be. And outside of that, just trying to make sure that their costume, which is pretty concealed, gloves, masks, the whole deal, that is not going to have any catastrophes happen to it and reveal who they are, which is a very hard secret for them.
Great. So when we see Lee in the panel, they're pretty covered, not, you can't see a lot of what they look like.
Yeah, no, they're almost not really classic superhero kind of full body suit, but fully covered, masked up, hair kind of like tucked up into little like pigtail space buns. Just trying to be as nondescript as possible in a lot of darker black, purple, blues.
Awesome. Okay, great. So we've got Lee tucked into a corner. We've got the flashback panel to reviewing the schematics earlier in the day. Next, let's go to Morena. Reina, what is it in this scene with these robots flying all around these planets? Where do you think that you've taken up position? Where do you think we find you in the panel?
I'm definitely in a high corner, like technically hiding, but what I'm really doing is with my telekinesis, I've managed to take 2 of those robots and I'm just making them dance with each other.
Great. Awesome. Yeah. So we've got some chaos happening with these robots in the corner. Can you tell me what is it that you, if anything, would have been doing earlier in the day preparing for this mission?
So I think it would be double checking, not letting anybody know I'm actually doing actual work, but I'm double checking the schematics of this planetarium and everything, because the first time I died, that is a public knowledge, was at a gallery, and this is a planetarium, and that's a gallery for nerds. So I'm making sure there's nothing hidden for worse shit to happen and such, and just making sure okay, we know technically where all the egress points and everything, so hopefully nobody will escape.
Sure, sure. Yeah. So maybe after Lee like finish with the schematics, you went, kind of casually leaned over them to not reveal that you were, actually doing work, as you said.
Yeah.
Okay, great, great. Awesome. Okay. So next, let's go to Alice. Where in this scene do you think you find yourself?
Alice is probably held back a little bit, trying to just get to a place where she can see the whole area and trying to help the others hide with like covering them in shadows and covering herself in shadows, just viewing the area to get like a tactical advantage.
Cool. So you've maybe found like a high spot, like maybe on the second story somewhere tucked
Yeah.
into an alcove. Okay, great. And what is it that Alice would have done earlier in the day to prepare for this fight?
Um, Alice would probably be the one trying to like debrief everyone, like get like the team together to like talk about what they know of like Lee has like the schematics to the place. So like going over that with everyone and just trying to get everyone on the same page, even if that might not have been super successful.
Amazing. Great. Yeah, so your flashback panel is, maybe you like attempting to hold court with the group over a table to varying degrees of their attention spans actually looking over at you. Wonderful. All right. Last but not least, Stacy, where do you find yourself in the middle of the chaos of this planetarium scene?
Okay, so in the middle of this very dark planetarium, like costume heroes that are like fully covered, like masks on, darkness, like disguise being most of like the motif here. There's this nerd named Stacy Jane with a sort of like pink tank top, some like short blue shorts, and some pink sandals. Um, Nothing really covering the face other than some very thick green glasses, um, a um, an emerald ring sort of like hanging from a necklace around their neck, and two like afro puffs of white hair. Um, just looking up and around at this entire situation and honestly being pretty scared. Um, Robots flying in my favorite planetarium. Um, like the palms are sweaty, and we're a little bit nervous, but we are steeling ourselves, and about to jump into the fray to just, I don't know, it seems like an heroic thing to just try and smash robots at this point, so we'll do it.
Amazing. And what was Stacy doing earlier in the day when you knew that this fight was oncoming?
Okay. At the debrief meeting, Stacy was a little nervous because it feels like in order to be heroes, we gotta break the law a lot. Like, this is not visiting hours for the planetarium. We're we're making it move though. Like, she was able to get on board with it. The real thing that she had to do was convince her dads to let her go out after dark to the planetarium to be a hero. Um, and it was a lot of bargaining, it was a lot of pleading, and eventually she got the okay. um
I love that. We've got like three panels that are like reviewing schematics, doing a debrief, asking dad if I can go, asking both dads, pleading with one dad, going to the other dad. That's great. How masks of a beginning for that to start. Wonderful. Well, and also, I forgot to ask. Let's start with you, Raina. What do you look like while you're doing this? You know, you're making dance, but how are you costumed? Like, what's your physical appearance like?
So obviously the shocking various blue hair, something that happened after her accident a few years ago. Because she used to be a lovely, like brown-haired brunette type. She's wearing a very not necessarily sexy, but kind of like definitely not conservative, kind of like black and blue outfit to match her hair that has vibes of like mariachis. Because she has to have a little bit of touch of her heritage and such in it. She also, whenever she does do a lot of any of her telekinetic kind of magic, there's like a glowing like lines that come across her face sometimes on one side. Right now it's not happening because right now she's not doing that much. To her, it's not much. It's like, oh, I'm just making them play fight, you know. But yeah, with like, you know, like she used to be a bit of a punk goth rock girl before everything, so she has like the chunky lace leather boots on too. But yeah, at first glance, you wouldn't think superhero or supervillain, just someone who's trying to be stylish.
Styling, great, love it. And Alice, what does Witch look like?
So like Lee, Witch is trying to conceal her identity. Unlike Lee, she's trying to do it as standoutish as possible. So she kind of is dressed like a fantasy sorceress, like a dark green cloaked hood, a red like corset vest, and like a skirt that goes all the way down. It's like flowy. Um, she has an eye patch and she has like bright red hair, kind of coming out of the hood, and it's like shaved side and like a medical mask.
Amazing. Okay, great. Now before we see how this fight's continuing to unfold, let's do some kind of reverse mechanics here. So it sounds like Alice was sort of stepping up to take a like leadership position for the team, right? So this is something we typically do before going into a fight, but obviously I threw you into the middle of it, so we're doing it now. But so would you all agree, disagree that Alice is kind of the leader going into this battle? Yeah, seeing nods. Okay, cool. And then the next question is does anyone mistrust Alice or mistrust, you know, her motives going into this? Okay,
No.
cool. That's great. So then how much what teammates does Alice have influence over? How many, really? Sorry, not you, Alice. This is going to be confusing. Alice, which Alice? How much influence do you have over your teammates? Because if you have influence over everybody, we add another team to the team pool.
I don't have influence over everybody.
Okay, great. We've got don't worry, you've got plenty already. You're starting off strong. Okay, so you've got and then so in terms of the purpose for the fight, I think that there would have been a panel kind of between all these debrief and flashbacks or anything. There would have been a panel of, you know, all of you kind of receiving a tip, and that's really all it is. There is a, you know, Halcyon City-wide like digital tip line that comes in for various heroes and vigilantes to see, you know, what people think. And there's one that you all latched onto, which was that Emerita expected at the HCB Planetarium tonight after hours. That's really all the details that you have, right? I would like to ask every one of you, what is your goal in this fight? What's your goal coming from the battle? And I'm going to start with Stacy. Let's start with you. What do you think your goal is going into this?
Listen, Stacy really just wants to protect everyone, just make sure nobody gets hurt badly. Um, like it's not really sure like what isn't really sure who this villain person is that we're apprehending or why we are apprehending them, even though the debrief was wonderful and good. Stacy has a little bit of trouble like focusing sometimes, but like for
Yeah.
Stacy, the goal is protect the party and make sure they don't like get hurt too badly.
Protect the party. Okay, great. Let's go to Reina next. What's your goal in this battle?
There's always a low level, like just to have fun in the mischief, but also to get the job done. Like in theory, this is going to help out in the long run. So
Okay, cool. Lee, what's Lee's goal going into this fight?
Lee is trying to get this done as efficiently as possible, drawing as little notice to this team as possible, considering they're a little infamous right now.
Sure. And Alice, what's your goal going in?
Alice has the opposite goal to them, which is wants to get recognition, wants to become known, wants this team to be like bigger than some other teams, maybe.
In it for the clout. Yeah.
Also, I did look it over. I actually do have influence over everyone.
Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so then you are going to have 4 team in the pool beginning this fight. You don't get the point for everyone having the same purpose because everyone had a different purpose, which seems very appropriate. But you have 4 team in the pool, so just be aware that if you'd like to during the fight, you can use that selfishly if you'd like to shift your labels. If while doing so, you have to describe how you're using the team point in a selfish way, or like what you're doing to kind of reject the team and take it for yourself. But you can also use it to help a teammate by giving them +1 to their roll. And anyone can do that at any point that a roll is made that someone might need help with. You can and should do it after the roll as well. So great. So now that we've got that clear, let's move into sort of the next panel. There are these or the next set of panels, because there are these pink like flying machines. They have eyes, like glowing, like LED bulbs of some kind that are like in their face. But they haven't, said anything. They haven't made any sort of like indication that they're anything more than like machines, right? Until and they honestly also just seem to be causing chaos, right? Like, they're being juggled around. They are floating, flying around the place. I think, Stacy, you said that you were about to join the fray, or you're kind of hopping in to do so in the last panel. So what is it? What are you actually doing to do that?
Well, okay, so they are causing chaos. They are like bouncing around the planets and the solar systems. Yeah, that's museum property. Like this is a great exhibit and you could break it. So I gotta break the robots instead.
Great.
I will Hulk jump and Hulk smash. Yeah, I feel like it's a planetarium. They keep those ice cold. So she's probably feeling good at this point. So she'll try to jump into battle and
great.
start smashing.
There's definitely a bit of a chill in the air. I think there's a panel where Stacy looks over and you can see like the radiator is like, or the opposite of radiator, air conditioner, whatever it is. The AC is like whirring in the corner, and Stacy gets a good look at that. All right, I'd like to have you roll to directly engage a threat then, please. First roll of the series.
Oh boy. So I have a bull thing.
Great.
When I directly engage a threat. I can do some stuff. I'm sorry. I'm taking
amazing
a minute to
no, please take
your
time. I want you to use your cool stuff, so no rush.
Yes, like when I directly engage a threat without hedging my bets and just rush headlong into danger, I can shift danger up and something else down.
Great.
So I'm looking at my stats. My danger's at +2 now. I'll shift it to +3. And then I will shift down superior. Cause going into Hulk Smash will just narrow my vision and like stop me from really being able to take stock. So I got a +3 to the roll.
Amazing.
I rolled a 9 on the die, so that's 12.
Amazing.
Baby.
All right. So you can pick two of your options. You can resist or avoid blows. You can take something from them, create an opportunity for your allies, impress, surprise, or frighten the opposition. You can pick two of the four.
Okay. This could be fun. Can I take some of their ability to fly? Because they're doing too much in the air, and this is one of my favorite exhibits, and they're not gonna mess it up and make the sun explode. So I would like to take their ability to fly and create an opportunity for my allies.
Amazing. All right. So yeah, I love that you're taking their ability to fly. I think basically, there's a dozen or so of these in here. I think you Hulk jump and you smash down on two. You basically like smash them into the ground. The part of them at the bottom of the cylinder that seems like it's, there's no flame or anything, but there is sort of like you can feel heat underneath it. You imagine that this is what's powering their flight. You smash them that first into the ground. And they just sort of like kind of flop over there. And they're still, eyes are like looking at you. But yeah, they sort of flop over. And one of them will, for the first time in like a kind of tinny robotic voice, will sort of kind of let out a sad, like, come to office hours, and then just sort of like and lie there on the ground unmoving. And in terms of creating an opportunity for your allies, as you smash these two to the ground, is there an ally in particular you want to create an opportunity for?
There was probably a plan, a big plan where things were mapped out. And I'm not sure who's next, but I'm pretty sure it's Lee. Lee. I do something and you find an opening.
Great. I think that the opening then that's going to be for Lee is that Stacy has smashed down the two that were kind of closest to you that you were running the most interference on. So you now have like a window of opportunity to do something else, to basically you're not being currently harassed by any robots. If you would like to take an opportunity to kind of breathe, to do something else, try something that without getting a robot in your way.
Yeah. As like I'm going to say that these two had probably been Lee had been kind of forcing them to bounce back and forth between two different illusions, trying to shuffle them back towards the fight. But with them down, they kind of let the illusions that they've been managing in that that spot drop. Instead, focusing on their psychic weaponry. That it doesn't really have a physical form. It looks a lot like they are miming, like tossing. I don't want to say throwing blades, but it looks like it's like tossing a pretty hand-sized blade bludgeoning instrument that no one
Great.
else can see as they try and focus maybe in the next one that might be getting a little bit too close
For
to
sure.
someone else.
And is this a power that you utilize regularly and you're pretty comfortable with?
I don't think they use like weaponry as much as they do illusions because they really try to stay out of actual fights. I'd say if they use it mostly like during practicing or sparring with their teammates.
Sure. All right. I'm gonna still call that directly engaging a threat. So go ahead and give me a roll to directly engage a threat, please.
Okay. Back up. Which is 2d6 plus. Sorry, I have the basic moves pulled up. Plus danger. 7 plus 0, so 7.
7. Okay. So 7, we are going to you're gonna pick one of resist or avoid their blows, take something from them, create an opportunity for allies, impress, surprise, or frighten the opposition. And one thing I'll say from before, actually, because it was a trading blows scenario, you didn't resist the blows. Stacy, I think when you kind of crash back into the ground, you're sort of taking a moment to get up there. Like you're not, you're staggered a little bit from your big Hulk jump because you did it with abandon.
Superhero landing. Oh, the knees. Oh, the knees.
Let's see. I think I'm just going to avoid their blows on this one.
Okay, great. Yeah, so you this energy kind of like extends out of you and it does sort of like draw their attention in your direction, these other two, but you are able to kind of perhaps get another illusion up again, or at least use your vantage point from the shadows to avoid them actually seeing you. They kind of beam out, which they have not done before. They have like a almost like a laser that beams out of their eyes in your direction and like sizzles right in front of where you were standing, but you avoid it. All right, let's check in with Witch next. So Witch, you have been, you're kind of the de facto leader of this particular mission, and you are, attempting to kind of create opportunities for your teammates here. As you're seeing Stacy and as you're seeing Coldcock and Carrion like actively engage with these robots, you're sort of start to look around a little bit more from your vantage point, and the robots are still whizzing around. They have started to actually engage with you a little bit more, but they hadn't necessarily been getting in your, like, they were causing chaos before. They were potentially causing property damage, but you haven't actually seen anything that's more than just chaos at this point. How does Alice react to that?
Could I like just look around and survey and see if there's anything else like weird happening here other than like these flying all around?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great opportunity to assess the situation. So go ahead and roll plus superior to assess the situation, and depending on what you roll, you can ask some questions and I'll answer them for you.
That is a 6.
That's a 6. All right. So a 6 will not allow you to answer any of the questions, but you could have
to help.
I would love that if you did. Yeah, so Raina, how are you helping Witch assess the situation here? What opportunity are you offering for them?
I think it's like having seen like, oh, okay, we're actually getting into it now. It's like I guess I can't just, faff off this entire time. So I'm having the two robots that I was playing with like kind of like go towards them and like basically use them as glorified flashlights. Like just like what can these robot eyes see, kind of thing going on to like maybe help with looking around and everything. Because I was going to think of doing an assess the situation, but I think right now would just I like supporting.
Yeah, helping out. Great. Awesome. So yeah, so you've got now some extra good like LED eyes helping cut through the sort of dust and rubble that's been shot up in the air after Coldcock's Hulk jump onto the ground. And that bumps us up to a 7, which means you can ask one of the 5 questions. What here could I use to blank? What here is the biggest threat? What here is in the greatest danger? Who here is most vulnerable to me? And how could we best end this quickly?
I'm gonna say what here is the biggest threat.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna say you think that I think that you, as we talked about before, you looked at the schematics, right? There is nothing in this room, which is kind of the big central hall. It's where the ticket booth is and things like that, right? There's nothing in here beyond these big models that is particularly valuable or that you can imagine someone might want to cause chaos about. Emerita has a reputation for being like an intelligent villain. So you think that the biggest threat here is that there's something going on in a different room of the planetarium that while you're distracted in here, you have no way of addressing.
Okay. Would we have like headsets or something to talk to each other throughout the building, or did we just go in? Do we not have that yet?
If that's the kind of thing that you think your team would have like,
Hey,
dug around to
Lenora.
find.
I think
Could you help out a little?
honestly, I think being teenagers and teenagers don't have a lot of money or resources, I think we probably just communicate with like a group chat
Yeah.
if we need it.
That feels real.
So I'm gonna pull out my phone and just text the group chat. I'm gonna scout out some of the other rooms. You take care of the bots. Meet me. Try and find me when you're done, which might not be the wisest decision, but
But that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Great, awesome. We get like a little panel of that message like popping up in the defrigerators chat. And I maybe people have their like, I don't know, their off-brand Apple watches, Pair watches, whatever it is. And they're you get the blip. And then where is it that Witch will go to or is Witch just kind of taking the nearest door and just starting to fan out?
Yeah, Witches is gonna take the nearest door. Just try and fan out. Just try and get as much like coverage of things somewhere else just to see if something's happening. So she's gonna like smoke out.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. So Witch is kind of going off on her own after having sent you this message. And we see a panel of her, disappearing. Morena, let's go to you. So you've just kind of helped Witch out with this exit. You've been, kind of sort of participating in the fight, but things are dialing up. What do you think is Morena's next move?
Obviously it seems like Witch knows where to go next. There's been a little bit of a rubble here. I think they honestly, yeah, I think they would go and check up on everybody, like to see like the other two, like, is everything okay? Do you need me to step in? Not that Reina's powers are very like, active like Stacy's, but a little bit more so than Carrion's, for example. So yeah, and then because she kind of does keep the group chat muted, would not know about the pop-up, would have just like, you know. So we'll probably wait with the other two to see what they do.
Okay, cool. So you're kind of just sort of regrouping. I imagine that Coldcock and Carrion sort of ended up in the same area because those are the robots that you were tackling. So Kaida Reina's joining you now. And when you get down there, Reina, and when you're kind of seeing these couple of bots have like fired off their lasers, and Stacy's still kind of getting up off the ground after that hard hit from earlier. You are sort of assessing the situation around here, and you can see that a couple of the bots appear to have noticed Witch's departure, and one of them has kind of followed down the corridor where Witch went. What would you like to do after you noticed that, which you noticed from your vantage point down on the ground near Coldcock and Carrion?
I don't know. My mind went completely into Overwatch mode, so I'm like, well, like game, like what would happen here? Like, oh no, they ran without the rest of the team. I think I would turn like, I think Rich has the right idea. Maybe we should follow, and see what's going on there. What do y'all think? Or do you want to keep Hulk smashing? I'm good either way.
Huh? No idea what the plan was. My phone is on vibrate and fighting for my life. There's no way that. I think that Stacy will look around and see, oh, our leader's gone. That's not good. Have they been kidnapped? What's going on? But it seems like Reina has an idea of what's going on. And will be like, oh, you think we should go? Leave the robots? Okay, let's go.
What is leaving?
Lee is probably already halfway across the floor. Just be like, yeah, we don't have time for arguing about this. If Wish is alone, we probably should get to her.
Great. Awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, I think like as we're heading out, I just like turn back to like some of the straggling robots, and I'm like, and now kiss, and like just have them smash against each other.
Good. Yeah. They sort of smash against each other. I think that you are being tailed by these robots. Because yeah, so I think you're being tailed by these robots. They're sending out these like little like choo lasers out towards you. And they do like they'll graze against you. They'll hit you. They don't they're not super painful. I think for any of you, they're not super painful. But which is, but they're more of a nuisance than anything else as you're kind of getting it's almost like pot shots are being taken at you as you're running away.
I think Stacy will like, upon realizing, oh, someone is shooting at us from behind, will turn and just like be like, I got your back, go save Witch. And try to block the blows /
Great.
Get them away.
Let's make this a defend roll for you. So would you roll plus savior for me?
Oh, I can certainly try, Bessie. Yeah, like my savior is a big -1, besties. Let's do it. Yeah, that's a 6 on the die for a 5.
Oh boy! All right. So
we got a lot of potential besties.
Yeah, Lee.
Going
Oh
up.
yeah, I forgot to say that earlier, but don't forget to be marking potential when you fail. Even if you then make it a success, still mark your potential. And that's a thing, right? Is that not a thing? I think that's a thing.
It's a thing at this table.
It's a thing now.
And we
it's
love
a thing
to see
here.
it.
And but yeah, okay, so you got a 5. To make that a 7, which is a hit, you need 2 helps, but your team pool is at 3, so you could also just take this. Raina and Lee, it's kind of up to you what you're thinking about.
I think Lee is going to look back at Stacy, just kind of like shoot them a little smirk. Don't follow the wrong ones. And Lee uses their illusions to send 2 different pairs of Kyrian and Reyna down 2 different hallways while Lee grabs her hand and pulls her down the way Witch went.
Cool. So you are leaving Stacy to take the blow, but you're kind of you're creating a different opportunity there, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm gonna say you don't have to roll to do that. That seems like something that's definitely like within your capabilities. So you've got these 2 things. Let's have you take a powerful blow, Stacy. Let's do it. So roll plus conditions marked. I don't think you have any. And let's see what happens.
That's a 4.
Oh, great. All right. This is the one where you want to roll low. So yeah, so you stand strong. And you
even more potential besties.
Yeah. And would you tell us, like, what is it? I think the blow that you're taking is essentially like none of these little like shots made that much of a difference, but when you kind of like stopped to like stand strong and like made yourself a target, all of these bots kind of paused in the air, and you could see their eyes like heat up before they sent basically a group laser shot at you. And as they do, every single one of them says, "Double space your essays." Phew! And what is it that you do to weather this kind of laser shot that comes your way?
Ooh. Yeah, for a second, there's a flashback of just like lasers, and then like there is just one panel of like Stacy facing down a whole bunch of robots with like glowing laser eyes. And then the next panel is a school late at night and a sort of like laser red like shot like an assassin's rifle sort of like laser pointer thingy. You know the thingy and what it's called. I don't have to spell it out for you. But in the second that they say double space your essays, that's funny. One, that's hilarious. 2, Stacy's great at school. Stacy really liked school. So that is familiar and is able to just like not get psyched out by all of the robots doing the robot things.
Amazing. So yeah, I think that you just kind of like, they send out this laser, you know, just weather this blow. The whole like corridor around you explodes, but you just take it very very stalwartly. When the corridor around you kind of explodes, there was you're still kind of like half leaving the lobby area. There's a big sign above you that like falls to the ground, and there's one panel of you seeing it as of Stacy seeing it before we'll move on to the next thing. This is the HCB planetarium. The sign that fell in front of you says the Haven Sea Banks Planetarium. Welcome. Please enjoy. And then we get a reaction shot of Stacy's face. What does Stacy's face look like when she sees that?
Oof. Oof. Um, like, she is running, adrenaline's pumping, but stops and looks. I think there's a panel just like rubbing the emerald ring that like hangs at her chest. And she looks sad. Really like dang that it's there's a lot of tragedy with the bank's name, and it just seems like you can't get away from it in this city. But after that, runs off down the corridor. God, not sure where everybody went. There are illusions running around, but we'll figure it out.
We'll
figure it
come
out,
back to it.
besties.
Yeah. All right, great. All right, let's go to Witch. Let's go to Alice, who left a bit ago. Is there anything in particular that you are looking out for as you're kind of like heading down the hall to explore more of the museum?
What do we know about this villain? Like, she has robots, right? So I guess I'm looking for like any kind of like maintenance rooms or like control rooms or something like that. Things that
Sure.
like are electronics heavy.
Yeah, definitely. And to answer your first question, Emerida is, considered like a low level villain. She's not considered like the cream of the crop in terms of villainness. But she has like a high like genius level intellect, very big on gadgets and inventions and things like that. And she's she's been around for a while. She's actually like on the older side, but that's pretty much all I think that with your current like degree of resources that you understand about her going into this. But yeah, definitely. So you kind of take off down the hall. There is a I think you end up seeing off to the left a maintenance door that is like halfway open, which I think draws your attention. And if you push it open and peer inside, which would you do that? Would you kind of take a look through the door?
Yeah, I'd take a little peek.
Great, take a little peek. So inside you can see that there is like a hatch that looks like it's an access hatch that goes up to the roof, and that is opened, but it looks like it was opened not from the inside going out but from the outside going in, as maybe it was like soldered, not soldered open, but it was like someone heated it so that it fell open the opposite way that it's supposed to open. It's supposed to go one way, but someone may have used it to enter or get something into the building.
Okay. I'm gonna send another text to the group chat. Meet me at like this room, wherever room I at. I'll leave a mark. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave a little like shadow at the door. And I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna check out the hatch.
Great. Okay, so you are checking out the hatch, and I think that it's you can pretty easily it's kind of like a low ceilinged room. There are a couple, there's like a lot of sort of like miscellaneous wires in here. It looks like maybe, like some of the power switches to parts of the building are in here. It's, a little messy. Like it's definitely not, you're not supposed to be in here. It's the door is not supposed to be open. But you can go and take a closer look at the hatch. If you do, you can see that, definitely for sure, this was not supposed to be opened in this way. And if you go and kind of like peer up above it, you can see that there are like basically some materials like an empty like butane canister and things like that have just been sort of left strewn about around the edges of the hatch.
Okay.
And at this point, sorry, go ahead, finish your question.
I was just gonna ask if that's all that's in here.
Yeah, that's all that's in here right now. At this point, one of those pink robots will fly in, and its eyes will look at you kind of like up in the hatch, and it will say, always cite your sources. And then you can see that its eyes start like heating up, like it's going to send a laser at you. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna go, well, that's my cue, and I'm gonna grab one of the containers and I'm gonna try and just run out.
Okay, great. So you're just kind of trying to run past this thing. I'm gonna say, what should that be? I'm still gonna say that's gonna be directly engage a threat, just because you do kind of have to get past it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, plus danger. That is 4.
That's a 4. Okay, great.
Yikes.
Ouch. So with a 4, I think this thing's gonna get you, and you're gonna take a powerful blow. So mark your potential, and then you are gonna roll plus conditions marked, which I don't believe you have anything yet.
Yeah. 6.
6. Okay. So 6 is good. 6 is a miss. I always like have the fear in my heart and then remember that it's reversed, and then I'm like, oh, good. Okay. So basically, this thing, you're expecting it to just kind of like let out the small like laser beam at you like it did before, because it's charging something from its eyes. But then what actually happens is like something sort of emits from its eyes, and you can feel that this thing is scanning you, like or at least that's what it seems like. You like, it's almost like, there's like a line that sort of starts at your feet and that is heading, like making its way up your body, and after it kind of finishes the scan, which it does pretty quickly, that happens in the span of like maybe half a second, a big like powerful burst of just like force energy like emits from this thing, as it seems to be self-destructing itself in an attempt to make this blow hit you, but you do weather it, and you I can mark potential as normal. But what would you like to how is it that you are kind of making yourself withstand this force energy that emits from this robot?
I think she would run into it and like try and push it away as far as she could. But I think in terms of like getting hit by it, I think she still kind of does and gets like blown back out of the room, but like isn't like hurt by it.
That makes sense. You kind of tuck and roll a little bit. Great. Okay, so you that's perfect, because you kind of tuck and roll out of the room right as Carrion and Kaida Reina are like running down the hallway towards you. They see you like kind of like you hear like a, and then you just see Witch like fly out of a door and then roll onto the ground. Lee and Reina, what is it that you do when you see this?
Lee would definitely offer them a hand up. Laying down on the job then, boss?
You know, things happen. Thanks. You take care of the bots. I take a hand and uh I get up with the help.
Great.
Cold Cuts said they got it, so you know.
Yeah, they're she's taking care of all that.
Okay. I need her to look at something. So let's go back.
Are we done in that room? Or is the princess in another castle or something?
I found something in there. Not I'm not sure. She's not in there though.
Is there more hallway though?
I think you're pretty much at the end of this hallway, but there's more hallway. Basically, you sent two illusions off in different directions. If you go meet back up towards Stacy, there's more to explore that way.
Well, I'm sure that she has everything, but we still have got to backtrack, so might as well pick her up.
Cool. So you all, the next panel is you all kind of like, it's you all going down the sides of one hallway as Stacy, still looking a little sad, runs down the side of another one. You meet up just like right around a corner. Stacy, you seem to have deterred the robots enough that they're not following you anymore. They're just kind of, between the rubble and everything else, they just seem to have, decided it's not worth the effort. But yeah, you run into everybody and you all convene.
Yeah, Stacy's got rubble in her hair. Like the the tank top is a little bit pockmarked with like lasers, but like it's chill. Everything's fine. She turns the corner and is like, "Ah, hi. I I missed the plan. I gotta come clean. I'm not sure what we're supposed to be doing here.
Wait, we had a plan?
Yes, but plan fell apart. New plan. Cold, you're smart. Take a look at this. What is this? And I throw the container, or I hand it to you.
Just shifted my superior down. Let's go, besties. Uh, what's in front of me? What is this thing?
Yeah, why don't you roll superior and let's see how you assess the situation of being handed this strange object.
Okay, strange device. I'm a STEM major. I know how to do things.
STEM queen.
Okay, that is an 8.
Okay, cool. So an 8, you can ask one question. Feel free to modify it as you see fit to be more about an object than about like a situation if there's something in particular you want to know.
Cool. So, basic moves. Assess the situation. What here can I use to blank? What is the biggest threat? What here is in the greatest danger? What here is most vulnerable to me? How can we best end this quickly? Okay. So, Stacy loves this place. And I think she would have some insight into like what here is valuable, right? So, like, why would a villain be coming here in the middle of the night with robots that just like do annoying pain pricks? What here is actually in the greatest danger? Maybe something about this canister opens it up to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So, here's how I'm going to answer that question. It's definitely you. I think Stacy has a bit of a flashback panel that we see of you being at this planetarium, when you were younger, maybe it's even recent, like just a previous time that you've been at the planetarium. And having been presumably told by your teammates or having deduced that this kind of canister was used to break in specifically to the east wing of the planetarium. there's honestly, like, you see, we see panels of Stacy just like kind of like walking through the exhibits. There's not a lot there that you would really consider valuable, like something you would want to take, something you would want to threaten. We're watching flashback Stacy walk through, like rooms that have trampolines in them to, illustrate points about gravity, like very like interactive, like almost like the more kid-friendly section of the museum. But then Stacy of the past walked past one room, and it's really the only thing you can think of. This room has in it a meteorite that once fell into the heart of Halcyon City. Maybe not even in the heart, but it fell, it didn't hurt anybody. It wasn't like a big crater leaving thing. But it's cool because it's got some unique qualities, and it's about this big. They keep it on display in a room on the east wing of the museum that it was actually not far from the maintenance room where this came from. And you also know that the exact same kind of fluid that was used to do this, Stacy being a STEM major, you could definitely use that kind of torch to lift that meteorite out of place if you really wanted it. That's the only thing you could really think of, even though you still have no idea why someone would want that thing. But really, it's the only thing to you that's making logical sense right now.
I will say, the comic book pages of Flashback Stacy are absolutely adorable. She's having the time of her life as a 6-year-old at this very advanced like science like place. She is holding her father's hand, Gregory Jane, who is like let down the gruff exterior for the day to like take his daughter out. It's some good shit. It's adorable and sweet. But in flashing back to the present, Stacy will say, "The meteorite. We've got to move quickly." And we'll just, I don't know, this canister's pretty heavy, right? It's just gonna drop the canister and start beelining towards the meteorite exhibit.
Great. Awesome. Okay. So we had all of those beautiful panels of adorable baby Stacy. I have a question for everyone else. As you're kind of like running, as Stacy says, the meteorite, we get a little thought bubble panel for each of the three of you. And the little panel that we get is if you have a memory of having come to this planetarium before, as a child, as an older teenager. But first of all, do you have one, or is your thought bubble just you being confused about what the hell Stacy's talking about? And if so, like, under what circumstances did your character come here? And I think I'm gonna ask Alice first. Alice Witch first. What have you been to the planetarium before? Have you seen this meteorite exhibit?
She's probably been there just like as like a trip or something, like a school trip or something, and knows about the meteorite, but like not like much about it. So she's probably just thinking, what about the meteorite?
Yeah. Great. All right. Lee, next. Does the meteorite mean anything to them?
I think they've been to the conservatory at least once with their family, probably on like some sort of media press tour. So there's like a single panel, two adults with like their heads out of shot in these very brightly colored super suits, and a much smaller, more feminine, probably about 5 or 6, little skirt, shirt, hair pinned back, maybe glancing towards like the meteor display while there is like a interview going on.
I love that. I can picture that panel so clearly. All right. Reina, how about you? Does anything come to mind for Kaida Reina?
Reina in this current age has never been to the planetarium because family never could afford it. Reina vaguely has a memory of the future of coming here with Adan, but remembering that they came because it was a reconstruction ceremony, and it's very fuzzy on why the planetarium had a reconstruction ceremony, but it didn't matter. We came there to steal something at that time.
Amazing.
So that's what's going through their head.
Love it. Love it. Okay, great. Yeah. And so yours, we got two kind of flashbacky looking ones, but yours has like a whole different color wash over it. And you're seeing visions of future memories, which is great. All right. So you all take off, down the hall towards the meteorite room. I'm gonna ask and let you all choose who's the first to kind of like burst this door to the room open, and is that what you're doing, or are you kind of trying to sneak? What's the approach?
Stacy has not stopped running, and will not stop running. Hasn't thought too far ahead, just is like bursting in.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, happens. Because Stacy's not great at running quiet. Stacy's wasn't a jock before the whole superpowers thing. So they probably know we're coming.
Amazing. Okay, so that's great. So Stacy, you're the first one to kind of burst this door open. And what you see inside, it's this kind of big circular room. There's a divot downward, like stairs downward, that lead to like an observing circle around a big circular podium, a big circular like pedestal upon which the meteorite rests. The idea being that you could go sit on the steps and just like look at it for a little bit. This is a big focal point of the museum. Or you could walk all the way down and you could see it really directly. But it's almost shaped like an arena. And when you walk in here, what you see is Emerita, who is this she's super small, like she's very short. She's an older woman. She's got deep brown skin. She's maybe in her early 50s. And you can see she's got these big owlish brown eyes that are made even bigger by the fact that right now she has on some sort of like protective goggles over them that are just giving them this quality. She's wearing like loose, sort of flowy black pants that look almost like they're yoga pant like in material, and a top to match. And she's wearing fluorescent pink gloves, the same kind of fluorescent pink color that those robots had that you encountered before. And what she's doing is she is holding a torch, and she is just finishing with severing the last leg that is holding this meteorite to its position on the pedestal. And with that, we're going to go to our break. We're going to pick up with whatever happens in this room when we're back. So we're going to have about a 15-minute break, everybody. Don't forget to drink your water, take your meds if you need to. And, if you haven't subscribed yet to the Girls from These Worlds Twitch and YouTube, why not do that now? You've got some time. But yes, we will be right back. Thanks, everybody. So excited. And we are back. We are hydrated and we are ready to find out what happened when the defrigerators burst into the meteorite exhibit and found in the act Emerita removing that last leg that was keeping the meteorite in place. So this is where we left off. That's the first thing you see. How do you folks react? Why don't we start with Raina? I'm gonna call on you because you've been you haven't had as much opportunity to do roles as anyone. What's your first instinct when you see this?
Funny enough, it's like, oh, that's a cool villain move. Takes phone out, takes a picture. But at the same time, I think I'm also trying to construct make psychic constructs behind her, because we're obviously going to be distracting by engaging with her. So if I can construct, I think, what would it be? I think it's gonna be like, in her mind it's ropes, but it probably looks like tentacles. So the goal is to like wrap them around her to get a chance to, but not yet.
Yeah. So you're basically, you are setting yourself up for when things pop off. Great. Okay, cool. Anyone else got something that you're doing right off the bat?
Witch is gonna put her hand on the wall behind us and just gonna fill the walls with just like pitch black darkness, so no exits or anything can be seen. So it's just like us and her.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, I think that's the point where she will, sort of like drop her focus on what she's been doing. And so she will kind of like get that last little bit of this metallic leg that sticks into the meteorite down. The meteorite will sort of like clunk onto the pedestal, where before it was sort of like lifted up just a few inches off to be in kind of the center of it. And Emerita will sort of like look around. She doesn't say anything yet, but you can see that she's now taken notice of the shadow. Hasn't yet noticed the kind of tentacly ropes behind her, but is definitely like clocking what's going on. Lee or Stacy doing anything?
Yeah, I'm taking this moment. I'm actually going to use this as my "Are you watching closely" move. As Because if the focus for Merida is on the meteorite, let's make it look like it's out of the situation, and the meteorite just kind of like, there's an illusion over the meteorite, or it's like it just kind of dissolves.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, great. Can I also ask for you to provoke someone with that? Because I think that's getting a reaction out of her.
Okay. If do I roll both then? Because I was going to use this
Oh,
as
sorry.
the "Are you watching closely" move, which is when you mislead, distract, or trick someone.
Perfect.
Roll plus superior.
Yes, I misunderstood. Do that.
That'll make it an 8. So on a hit, they are fooled at least for a moment. On a 7 to 9, choose 2.
Okay, great. Awesome.
So I'm going to use this to expose a weakness or a flaw and confuse them for some time.
Great. I think that you time this perfectly so that the dissolve action sort of happens right as this like kind of clunks to the ground, or clunks to the pedestal. So it almost looks to her like it just started crumbling. And you can see her just like, no, what, no, this can't be. And she just starts kind of going back into, you can see it was hidden from your view before. She's got this sort of like, again, it's pink and metal like her robots were, like toolbox that she's brought with her, that she it's almost like it's like a rolling, it looks more like a rolling makeup kit that you might see someone have than like a normal toolbox. But she just starts like diving down in it, and she's just like throwing stuff away. I would say that the weakness weakness that you expose by doing this is you can tell Emerita is very frazzled by what's just happened. And she is certainly not paying any attention to the fact that she could be in physical danger, or like that she could be physically threatened. And I don't even necessarily mean like you're going to hurt her in some way, but even if you were to like cage her in, or, you know, just like physically cut her off from anything, she seems like she would not be aware of it, because she is now so focused on the process of trying to undissolve or figure out what happened with this meteorite. And Lee, from there, are you kind of just maintaining the illusion and just kind of keeping an eye out for her behavior?
Yeah, I'm in order to like keep focus on this, I'm probably ducking behind either Stacy or Alice.
Great.
I need to use cover.
Awesome. Coldcock, that leaves you. Stacy, what is it that you would like to do when you see all this happening?
So I think that upon busting through the doors, Stacy, just taking a second, catching her breath, because she ran a lot and it's been a long day. When she like lifts her head up to like really take in what's happening, the meteorite drops and dissolves in front of her face, and this incredible piece of Halcyon City's history has been dissolved right before her very eyes. And I feel like she lets out a very dramatic no, as the villain is also being like, no, this doesn't make sense. What? Redo the science. Stacy is pretty tunnel visioned. It seems like everything's going wrong. She's destroyed this place that she really likes. She's angered Aaliyah Banks yet again. And now this piece of intergalactic history is gone. She's gonna run up and she's gonna try to stop the villain from doing more villain things, like dissolving any more science.
I'm gonna ask you to do something, Stacey, because you are having this like strong emotional reaction. I'm gonna ask you to mark a condition.
Please.
And but I'll let you tell me like which of these things are you feeling the most in this moment as you're, you know, trying to process everything that's going on at once.
Oh boy. All right. We've got afraid, angry, guilty, hopeless, insecure. It's guilty, besties.
Yeah.
We're feeling bad. We're breaking everything. Heroing is very hard. And are we up to the task? I don't know, but I feel guilty about it. And that's the condition that's marked.
Great. And sorry, say again, what is it that you were wanting to accomplish by like rushing forward?
Honestly, those pink gloves look familiar. It looks like the robots that were sort of messing everything up in the planetarium. So she's just gonna try to mess up the gloves somehow, for real.
Cool.
Like do something to disable the person.
Great. We'll make that directly engage a threat. Why don't you give me plus danger, please?
I know how to do one thing really well, and that's danger. It's a good thing it was danger too, because that is a 4 on the die. plus 3 for my danger is a 7.
Amazing.
So I would like to take something from Emerita. And the thing is the gloves. You
Amazing.
don't get gloves anymore. Um,
Okay, yeah. So what's gonna happen is, I don't think you're just like rushing forward and being like, oops, let me take those, let me just grab those off your hands there. But what's gonna happen is Emerita like clocks that you are heading in her direction. And realizes that she's gonna probably take a blow, or or like something's gonna happen. You can see her like assess the situation in real time, and it seems like it happens very quickly. And so what she does is with like a like a doctor like prowess of just like taking the gloves off, she like grabs one and sort of like is going to fling it at you. And when she does, the glove like fans out and becomes like a metal disc in the air that is now headed straight for you. I'm going to have you take a powerful blow as one glove, and then right after that, a second one heads in your direction. Please.
oh,
Stacy getting hit.
yeah, I'm feeling very reminiscent about like Adventure Time today. Fun fact, YouTube, at the time of this, Adventure Time Fiona and Cake just dropped. And there was that one time with Normal Man where he was like, boomerang, ha! And he looked back and then, boom, 2 boomerangs. 2 boomerangs, y'all. 2 boomerangs. We're taking a powerful blow that is plus conditions marked. That is going to be an 8 total.
8. All right.
So
you're
something
choosing
happens.
one. Yes, you're choosing one between you lash out verbally, so you provoke a teammate to foolhardy action or take advantage of your influence to inflict a condition. You give ground, which means your opposition gets an opportunity, or you struggle past the pain, mark 2 conditions. You get to pick between those 3.
Yeah, I'm a struggle. I don't want to give this person any more opportunity to destroy any more science. And yeah, Stacy's not in a like outwardly provoking position right now, so we're gonna struggle past the pain. We're gonna mark 2 more conditions. Let's say we'll mark insecure and we'll mark angry. Because she's the rookie at this hero thing in the group, or at least at this combat thing. And she's feeling that now, very insecure. And then also, this lady keeps destroying science. I'm mad. So that is what's happening.
Great. Yeah, so I think that these 2 discs like hit you square in the chest, kind of like send you back across the room. And physically you can still get up from them, but you're definitely like you're feeling you've taken a number of hits in this fight already, and they're starting to wear on you mentally just as much as anything else. Let's go to see Raina, you kind of you finish, setting up your like tentacles. You see that Stacy has like rushed forward in this way. You can also see, perhaps even better than Stacy can, that Emerita reacts to the fact that her gloves are now gone by just being like, shit. And she goes back into her bag and she pulls out like a big, what looks like a pair of tongs, really, like that you might use while like welding something. And she starts kind of trying to like prise those open. Again, not really focused on you guys. What's Marina's reaction to that?
How big does that bag look? Like,
Yeah, so I mean it's like suitcase size, so it's
Mhm.
pretty big. It's it's enough that one person could definitely like lift it up. But it's it's bigger than just like your standard toolbox that you would say.
Yeah. Part of Morena wants to be like yoink the bag, kind of like very silly super villain kind of move, and part of her is
Yeah.
like, I probably should just take care of the problem. So I think like as she's like trying to wield those tongs and everything, we'll use the psychic construct tentacles now to wrap around and be like, aha, like this completely immobilize her because that
Yeah.
seems to be the best course of action.
Do you think that you are defending the meteorite here as opposed to directly like is it more about getting her to
Yeah,
be
I think
pulled back?
so. I think it's
Great.
more like protecting this meteorite, even if it is in shambles, because I might believe a little bit more also this illusion that's happening. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
those of you who have like this psychic or like mental adjacent powers are probably a little bit more like, yeah, what you see is not as much to be believed. So for sure that works. I'll have you roll plus savior then to defend the meteorite from the immediate threat.
Okay, I think I'm a -1 in that. So let me get into the right. There she is. No, superior is what I was thinking. The savior. That is a 9 total.
Great. All right, so a 9 is a hit, so you do keep it safe. And but it's going to expose yourself to danger or escalate the situation. But in addition to it doing that, you can also choose between adding a team to the pool, taking influence over someone you protect, which is not really applicable in this situation, or clear a condition.
Yeah, obviously I think the only one for is to add a team to the pool for
Great.
sure. And I don't remember if I get to choose this, but definitely an a-okay with exposing myself to danger because it's just
Great.
regular danger. It's not like it's my doom danger.
Amazing. Yeah. So I think that what happens is you successfully like kind of wrap her in these rope tentacles and she like drops the tongs when she gets wrapped. But again, like we could see with that same sort of like superhuman quick processing, like she realizes that these tentacles are coming from you. And you can see her shout, TA bots back there. And two more of these pink robots like rise from this bag that she's got. They kind of like unfold themselves, and they are going to swarm around you off to the side. They haven't directly like fought you yet, but you've gotten exposed to danger because they're it seems like she might be trying to get you to drop your hold on her by menacing you with these robots.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Great. Let's check in with Witch and with Carrion. As you are watching all this unfold, are either of you two jumping in, doing anything?
I think what Witch is going to do is going to see that everyone's kind of out in the open. So she's going to pull a bold move and try and like make the shadows move up to like shroud the team from her. So then she can't see where we are.
Great.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, I mean that sounds like a role to defend for sure. Let's go have you go ahead and roll plus savior.
Oh boy. That is a 7.
7. Great. Okay. So it's going to I know exactly how this is going to escalate the situation. So it's going to do that, but you have successfully kind of shrouded your team to give that defense to them. You could choose to add a team to the pool, take influence over someone you protect, which could be any of the three of them, although I think you already have influence over all of them, as we discussed before. Or you could clear a condition.
Um, um, clear any condition, like not just my own, but like someone else's.
I think it's usually your own, so
Okay.
I think that you should just, if you don't have one, probably taking a team to the pool is the thing.
Yeah, that's what I'll
okay.
do. Yeah.
Great. All right. So now you've got plenty of ammo if your rolls start to go south, which is good. All right. So you kind of like shroud this darkness around. And I think at this point, Lee, you've been focused on kind of watching her behavior. I think at this point is maybe when she would be starting to realize that she was confused and that it's not gone. Is there anything that Lee does in response to that? Maybe you even see her like reach out and she could like feel something where, where it's supposed to be, but she can't see it. How does Lee react to her?
I'm going to say, narratively wise, it might be giving myself weaknesses, but interacting with an illusion would probably cause it to start dropping. So yeah, if Emeritus is reaching out and touching this, it's probably forming back around her hands and everything. Cool. But also at the same time, if she's calling these things TA bots and Lee has kind of been picking up on what they have been saying, Lee is going to, instead of trying to distract their illusion, just go, hey, yeah, so I bought my last term paper from a theater student on the sidewalk. They said it was fine.
Amazing. So yeah, you're definitely going to roll to provoke someone, for sure. I'm so excited about that. But yeah, I also think, she's still restrained enough by the ropes and tentacles that probably her reaching out is more like out of desperation than anything else. So I think the illusion is starting to give away, but slowly, especially as she's pulled from having any true access to this. But yeah, roll to provoke, please.
Provoke her, provoke these TA bots, something.
I think you roll generally, and I think it'll have the effect you're looking for.
So that's hopefully 2 6s.
Amazing.
Plus provoke is plus superior, so that is 14.
Amazing. Incredible.
Why would you buy your paper from theater kids? Sorry.
So I mean, basically they're gonna do what you want. I think these TA bots like immediately just start going like, I'm gonna have to call the Office of Academic Honesty, and I'm gonna have to we'll have to have a series, and they basically start like twitching and like malfunctioning in the air. These TA bots. What is it that you want Emerita to do by provoking her in this way?
Let's see. So I can choose the air, and I want to just gain that critical opportunity.
Okay.
Cool. Just to like distract her enough to.
Yeah, just so you know, that's something you get on 7 to 9. So with a 10, you can pick some, like you can basically, they do what you want. So like whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
It's still about the same. I'm just trying to get her to focus on not only something else, but to like focus hard enough that it might make her mad at another target. Yeah. And these TA mads at another target, but also to like open up for an opportunity against her for my team.
Yeah, so this definitely, I mean, between this and the Shroud of Darkness, like the situation has definitely escalated. And you can I think Marina, you're probably the first one to feel it. She kind of just sort of like starts to go limp in these like tentacles. Like you can feel she stops resisting against it. Like she just like seems like exhausted. And will you still keep her wrapped up even if you feel like, she's this kind of sense that she's given in? Reina, that's you.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Just
Yeah, I
making
was
sure.
just like, yeah. I was like, wait a minute, that's me. Oh yeah. Um, I think because right now everything seems to be going well, Reina's very much like, let's take it to the next level, and does what would be a good? Not used to actually thinking like a villain. um, Kind of goes a little not out of control, but a little bit like power happy, and it's like, no, let like doubles and triples the tentacles, like, no, we're stopping this, like,
Mhm.
and everything.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
even though it does seem like Lee has gotten like
Yeah.
things handled, like, no, like, yeah,
Yeah.
not being a
So
good team player.
yeah, so she sort of like, falls limp. The tentacles just like draw even tighter around her. And she says, all right, if you must keep me entangled, I'm not here to hurt anybody.
Stacy groans weakly from the floor.
What was your plan
Sorry.
with the meteorite?
Um uh she kind of like hisses a little bit under her breath, and she says, it's nothing that needs to be concerning to you. I just need to borrow it. I'll bring it back.
I've said that a million times, stealing things in the past. If you needed to borrow it, why didn't you? I think there's like proper channels and everything you can go through. I think that's a thing.
Do you think that one of the most storied institutions in Halcyon City would just lend out one of its prize articles to the likes of me?
Don't flatter yourself, lady. I'm sure not many people really know who you even are. What exactly did you need to borrow it for?
Mm-hmm. That feels like you're trying to provoke a little bit, right? I think I'm gonna have you roll to provoke.
Sure. Uh, Superior. That's a 9.
Okay, great. So then you can choose one of the options. They stumble, which means you take +1 going forward against them. They err, so you gain a critical opportunity, or they overreact and you gain influence over them.
They overreact. And we get
Great, yeah.
influence.
Yeah, so you definitely, she sort of like scoffs and she says, plenty of people know who I am. I've been published in a number of accredited publications, but that's beside. Do you not know who? Obviously, you know who I am. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come here.
No, we just saw a commotion and did what heroes do.
That is what heroes do, isn't it? They see a commotion, they come running, and they don't bother with figuring out what it even is that they're interrupting, or if that might be really, really important.
I hate to admit it, but she is right.
Well, that's a
Does
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry, like from the floor, does the name Emerida and like published papers in like scientific journals ring any bells for Stacy?
Yeah, I mean, you think that it's likely that there's one really renowned university in Halcyon City, which is Haltech. And Haltech High is actually where Stacy went to school once upon a time. Is kind of like the feeder school into the really prestigious university. If there was anyone of like any professor who like taught at a university who was of any like significance in Halcyon City, would probably be a professor at Haltech.
Word. Okay, so I'll I think Stacy will sort of get up, heal heal herself from the floor, notice the Stacy shaped divot in the stairs, uh sort of sigh, but walk up and try to get a bit of a better view and see if she can recognize this person. I feel like she has visited the university and
Yeah.
read up about the university a lot in just the
Yeah.
preparatory mess that her old school was.
I mean, this seems like you're trying to pierce a mask. So I'm going to have you go ahead and roll plus mundane for me. See what you find out.
I am literally trying to pierce the supervillain mask. That such a so true. That okay. That could be something good. It depends on what my it depends on what conditions I have marked for real. Because that is an 8 on the die. And then ooh, yeah, I'm angry. So that's a -2 to pierce the mask and a 0 for my mundane. That's a
So you
6
got
to
a 6.
Beasties.
All right.
I'd love to. We have team
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, we have team. We have team.
Team to spend. Who's helping? As I think all of you kind of spot what Stacy's doing here, just standing up, getting a closer look. Who's trying to help out and how?
Can I just keep the shadow on her so she's able to do it undetected?
Yeah, so you're basically trying to get Stacy able to have a really close look. Like Stacy can go right up to her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Question.
Yeah.
How hard would it be to push this meteorite just kind of off its pedestal?
To do so with how much force would you have to exert? Is that the question? I think that a medium push could probably get it off the pedestal.
Because I think what Carrion would do is I have a move called Troublemaker. That when you help a teammate through destructive, criminal, or rule breaking actions, I can give them a +2 instead of a +1 when you spend a team from the pool. So I think what Carrion would do is kind of walk up. So this is important to you then, yeah? And then just kind of start to push it.
No. And you can tell that she is resisting so hard against your tentacles, Raina. If you want to bump up to a +1 or to a 10 so that Stacy gets 3 questions, Raina, you could throw in the last bit of help here.
Yeah, I'll do that. I will be very much and make her dangle in front of on top of the meteorite.
Yeah, so this is really a display of you insolent teenagers, just this poor woman. But yeah, you can see and that's 10. So Stacy, you get 3 questions as you're kind of getting up to this woman, and you can really see a lot on her face right now. She is broken from this, from this experience. She is there's not a lot that her mask or she doesn't have a literal mask, but there's not a lot that her figurative mask is hiding anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking around at my terrifying friends. And something I think something about just all of this chaos happening around is just pulling focus, and I would love to know what she's really planning.
Yeah. Why don't you give me all three, and that way I can like
Okay.
sprinkle them out.
So, what are you really planning?
Yeah.
What do you intend to do? Um, and I'm interested in how I could gain influence over her.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So what she intends to do is I mean, with the way that she is struggling, like, you think that it would be that she intends to get at the meteorite, like, no matter what it takes. You have a sense that, like, even if she herself was getting like carted away to like prison or something, that she would still want to get at the meteorite before that happened, even if she had to struggle through whatever. Like, that's the kind of energy that she's bringing to it. So she's intending to get at this meteorite and do something with it. You imagine that her ideal situation would be to take the whole thing somewhere else, but she's trying to use something about the meteorite or within the meteorite for probably an experiment or an invention of some kind. What she is really planning, I think that you kind of assess the situation, assess her, assess the tools that she brought. It looks like she has set up this whole situation so that the she's basically set up this whole situation. Like, you could see she's got more bots that have not yet been released in the bag. She could use one of those to get, even if it's not the whole meteorite, like a piece of it out of here. And you have a sense that she would probably do that over getting no part of this meteorite. Like, that's what you're reading from the tools that she has with her. Last, how could you gain influence over her? This is a big, lumpy meteorite. If you let her take a piece of it for what she is planning, you would definitely gain influence over her. If you just, let her get away with a little bit of what she's trying to do, even if she doesn't get to make away with the entire meteorite. Those are the three answers I'm going to give you.
Um, okay. Um, I think Stacy will sort of like look to her terrifying friends and be like, this is a bit much, right? We don't gotta like do the Finding Nemo don't shake the bags type of thing. We don't gotta do that to her. Um, and like I I think I wanna like go up to her and sort of say, yeah, I don't know what's going on. My name's Coldcock. Uh, and I would love to learn about your experiment. What are you trying to do?
Um, she sort of like looks at you, very confused. And I think before she answers you, we'll look over. I mean, I guess everyone's crowded in shadow, but you've come out of the shadow, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But she's kind of like looking around at the shadows nearby. And you could hear her she's just sort of stammering, like, uh, I,
You should probably answer some questions as Lee just kind of like pushes the meteorite back and forth over the pedestal.
Yeah. So she says, if you're just gonna break it, then that meteorite, I need something that's in it.
You can explain a little further. I was a student at Halcyon Preparatory. Um, I studied a good amount of space rocks in my day.
Then you should know of the element that was discovered right here in Halcyon City. Halcyonium.
Naturally.
And I do think Stacy, and those of you who came here on field trips and paid any amount of attention to it, would recall, or those of you who are just science minded in general, would know that halcyonium is like an alien element that has only ever been discovered in one place, which is on this meteorite. That being said, it's not known to have any like scientific value or anything like that. Like it is it is considered to be like some of those other elements that like earth-wise it's very rare, but it doesn't have any particularly well-known like scientific uses. It doesn't even stay stable in a laboratory setting. Really the only thing that's like interesting about it is the fact that it came from space, and it's kind of a for those who care about like the scientific progress of Halcyon City in particular, it's a point of scientific pride.
Yes, Halcyonium, it doesn't really stay stable in a laboratory setting, which sort of adds to confusion of like, why all of this, right?
I have my reasons. Please, if you're going to break it anyway, just let me take a fist-size portion. That's all I need.
Hold on, break it? Oh my god, please don't break the upon like seeing upon seeing Lee be like, ooh, I'm gonna break it. It freaks Stacy out more than it does the villain that we're trying to interrogate, and I think she will like go over to it and just be like
Come on, it's just a rock. And like worst case scenario, if we break it, no one else is gonna come after it.
It's a space rock though. It's a science space rock. And she will go on forever about how cool this space rock is.
Great. I think that at this point, the very defeated sounding Emerita will say, if you're not going to let me have what I came here for, then let me go or turn me in.
I look at Witch. It's up to you.
Well, we already caught her, so she's a villain, right? So we gotta turn her in, right?
Raina definitely makes a face at that, like, Do you promise not to do it again?
I promise.
She's lying to you. She's lying.
Just because someone's a villain doesn't mean they're always lying, Witch.
Her eyes are like shifting back and forth, like
I think then I look at Stacy, since it seems like Stacy understands this way better and is like, authorities? Are there science police we could take her to?
I mean, if we let her go, we need to make sure that she's not going to get at this. So I'm all for just.
I
mean, you might need to. Sorry, go ahead.
Ooh, no, I just mean I think Stacy would know that they could call the like ethics board of like her scientific community and get her in a lot of trouble. So I think she's just gonna be like, oh, that's a really good idea, the science police. She will take out her phone, just do a little snapshot of oh girl in the tentacles, good clear view of her face, and plan to stop by the college tomorrow. uh, just looking through the faculty sort of roster. Um, yeah, you promised, so we will hold you to your word. And we're also going to find out who you are and like call the ethics board of the Space Rocks science people. And Stacy would say something much more intelligent sounding than Space Rock science people, but just lets her know all of that. And I guess we'll just stand guard for the rest of the night until like security shows up so we can like explain.
Is everyone on board with that same plan, just to kind of
Yeah.
stand guard?
No.
No.
We could just call the cops.
I mean, yeah, but
Are we
but
sure
she
the
promised,
cops
right?
aren't on their way anyways, considering there has been already so much damage to this place?
There were
Yeah,
a lot of lasers, yeah.
I'm sure there's some kind of silent alarm already going off by now.
I mean, we did have to break in, technically. And she did break in.
As you all are talking about this, I kind of debating what is going on. You hear it's not a siren. It's actually a theme song. It's a very triumphant, like da 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 da, like song that starts echoing from somewhere outside. And you are very familiar with the three people who enter next. This is the hottest new team on the scene in Halcyon City. They're known as Solstice. And they are everything that the Defrigerators are not in terms of like costume sponsorships, like they've got they're really like part of the Halcyon City like up and coming crowd. Like everyone knows who they are. They've got action figures, they probably have their own comic books, and you hear their theme music. You probably all have a moment of dread just like reach you as they approach, and coming into the meteorite exhibit where you are currently standing, and standing, like in perfect pose formation, are the three members of Solstice. These are Dawnfall, Duskbreak, and High Noon. Dawnfall, they're all wearing kind of like gold armored costumes that are they're not the texture and the color match, but they're not entirely matching. They each have their own thing about them. So Dawnfall and Duskbreak, they're believed to be twins, although I don't it's not known about their specific identity. They're both, have a what you would call like a striking beauty. Like they have very prominent eyebrows. They're like really like piercing eyes, and that's sort of where the similarities end, even though most people believe them to be twins. They look Middle Eastern. They have like a very they have a very their hair, although they wear it in different ways, is very similar in texture. Dawnfall has long, straight black hair. It turns gold at the ends, and is very, like kind of cascades perfectly down her back, just like at every angle. Duskbreak she's got sort of a blunt bob, like much more severe and less cascadey. It's got silver streaks in it as well. They look very similar. And then there's High Noon. They have, they're very pale. They have white blonde hair that is super short and curly. And they have, they're the only one of them that has like an actual weapon, carries a weapon, and that weapon is like a gold, like old school looking pistol thing that they've got on their hip, and they just pose absolutely perfectly. And you can see that Dawnfall kind of like shakes her hair out and says, "Oh, hey, defrigerators, what are you doing?"
Fuck, they're hot.
We're doing your job faster and better.
Catching a villain.
Yeah, well, we were across town. There was sort of more of a mid to high tier villain who was holding some hostages, but cleared that up. And we're here now, so you can go.
We can go.
Oh, sorry. And Duskbreak kind of jumps in, and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I just all we're trying to say is, good work, and we've got this, and we can, turn her over to the authorities, and yeah, we're good."
You know what you could do? Clean up. If you go down the hallway over there, there's some robots and everything. That's what you're good for, we'll take care of the rest of it because you don't know the context of this villain.
Go ahead and roll to provoke someone.
Okay. I got a 9, but I need to look at my superior. So an 8. So it's still a mixed success, but yes.
Okay, great. So do you want them to stumble? You take +1 going forward, err, gain a critical opportunity, or overreact and gain influence?
Oh no, I'm a petty bitch. I want them to overreact.
Okay, great. So you could take influence over I'll let you take influence over all 3 of them. They don't seem they're sort of overreacting in the way of like, you can tell that they're very visibly trying not to react to your comment. Like especially Dawnfall and Duskbreak are sort of just like, kind of just like just sort of visibly shaking it off and just like ignoring you. High Noon will sort of like look up at you, meet your eyes, and you can see High Noon has very pale, like almost like white irises to their eyes, and they just sort of smirk, like they just sort of like smirk at your comment a little bit. And High Noon says, "Dawn, Dusk, we don't need to get into any scraps here. We won't clean up for you, but we can leave you be. We did get notified by the authorities that there was something going on here, so if you want us to stay, that's what we're here to do. The police couldn't make it in time, but we're under their supervision. We can easily bring this villain in if that's what you would like."
I mean, you wanted to take over, so that would have been cleaning up anyways, unless you were going to have the poor police do that when they got here, or the regular people. And that's not fair to them. So I don't see what's the problem with us sharing, right, y'all? And she'll look at
High Noon, genuinely seeming perplexed, like turns to the others and says, "Have you ever cleaned up? I've never cleaned. I assumed that there were people who
better to clean up your own work. I mean, Jesus, mi abuelita, she would never allow us to leave the kitchen and leaving a mess."
I mean, better, your words, not mine. And High Noon will turn back to Dawn and Dusk and say, let's leave them here. And then we're going to move on to the next panel. So I do want to know, do you like what happens with Emerita? That's the one thing I want to know before we move. We don't have to go through it, but I want to know what would be the team's decision in terms of leaving them to their hands, apprehending her themselves. Obviously, there's something that maybe we're going to do next time in terms of looking for her at Haltech. But what's the team conclusion going to come to? And if there's division, I'm going to leave it to Witch to decide, given that she was the de facto leader.
I mean, personally, I think that we got her to the proper authorities or whoever deals with like the supervillain capture or detaining in this city. And we just waited till they got there and then we gave them to them.
That sound good to everybody?
Yeah, I think before they had shown up, Reina would have been siding a little bit with the whole like we could technically let her go, but no, it's like nah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, makes sense.
Ooh, I will say that Stacy feels absolutely sick to her stomach at the way that events like rolled out. Like the team treated this woman really bad. And then like on top of that, we send her to jail, and like it also seems like we have a sort of rivalry. Stacy isn't used to friends, but like there's some sort of like ganging up of like, oh, we're us and we don't like them, and that like was a whole thing. Oof. Going home with
Amazing.
3 conditions and it shows.
Yeah, that's real. Okay, so what's gonna happen next is there's kind of like a panel of you all sort of leaving. I think that the next panel is you all kind of taking your separate routes towards where you go to meet up with Thaw, which is your support group, trauma-informed halcyonite advocacy workshop that Lenore Caldwell, who we'll meet next time, runs. You're all kind of taking your own routes through the city. Maybe you're stopping at home first. But this is, you know that's kind of like the next thing. Maybe it's the next morning, even after you've had a chance to sleep. This was late at night. But I'll tell you that there's one panel where there is a young, same age as you, like older teenage person who is talking very animatedly into like a live stream on her phone. And she says, hey, everybody, it's Lupe Schaefer Santos here, and I've got another big update on our favorite anarchist activist team, the Defrigerators. And she, you can see that it fades out as she's starting a description of what happened in the planetarium. There's also, as you are kind of walking around, we see Stacy, you go past a street, not even really paying attention to it, but as you go past the street, a truck passes by you going in the other directions. It says Typhon Pharmaceuticals on the back. That truck pulls up to a very luxurious looking house and drops an envelope on the welcome mat. We don't see who picks it up, but a hand picks up this envelope, opens it, and starts pulling things out. They are little bits of rubble from the planetarium. And they're rubble that have a little bit of that blue energy that you have to you. This looks like where you impacted when you were thrown across the room. And this hand reaches in, touches it. And then we move to the next panel. The next panel, Reina, you walk by a cafe, not really noticing what's going on inside. But at the bar is a woman we have not met yet. She has kind of bronze skin. She's wearing this very bright but business wear outfit that's pretty strange. This you would recognize as Lenore Caldwell. And she's talking to somebody, and a man who's next to her at the bar. And she says, I have to say, Dr. Shadows, I really appreciate you meeting here with me. And Alice, you maybe get home or wherever, you're kind of currently gathering your stuff, sort of getting ready for the day. And there is a man, well-groomed, gray-haired, in a suit, who watches you from afar. You don't notice him. But then in the next panel, he buys a hot dog. As he's pulling the money out of his wallet, we see there's a business card in there. And it says, Liam McKay, private investigator. He puts it away and then continues watching you down the street. And last, Lee, it's been a long day and you haven't yet had the opportunity that you want to go to your usual haunts. But you walk by Bits and Bites, your favorite arcade, on the way home. You don't stop in. It's closed, even though it usually doesn't close until super late, which is one of your favorite things about it. The old lady inside answers a phone call. You can't hear it, but she picks it up and she says, hey, still no sign of him? That kid, if he wasn't always getting on the wrong side of heroes, he would... I told him, with powers like that, he doesn't have to be the fucking darling defender, but he can't be causing trouble all the time. Yeah, thanks. No, I'm fine. It's not like this is the first time. She clicks the phone shut. That is where we're gonna end our session today. We're gonna pick up next time, figuring out what all of that means. And I just have to say, thank you all so much for joining us for this. It was a very exciting first session, so much fun. Please make sure to tune back in next time to see whatever's gonna happen then. I'm gonna start by saying that it has been absolute pleasure to be your game master for today. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna have Anita. Why don't you kick us off, and I'll loop back to close us at the end. Tell us where they can find you, what you're up to.
Hey everybody, Anita here. Oh gosh, I'm having a wonderful time. Find me at Anita the Lesbian on X, I guess. Gosh, like you can also find me, and you can find Allie if you like more of our beautiful faces, on the Infinity City podcast. Infinity City is a sort of Masks series. Allie and I both joined in on season 2, which just started. Episode 1 is out at the time of this filming, so go listen to more Masks. And also, if you like playing Masks and want to play it with some super cool people, including yours truly, I have a Start Playing That Games where I run a Masks game that is called The Spider's Web. It's great. It's a fun time. Come through and join every other Friday if you have it free. Okay, that's your girl. I will toss it over to Mateo.
Hello, I'm Mateo. I am the certified milk boy. You can find me anywhere at just certified milk boy. That's certified with a Y. And on itch.io, certified milk boy games. You can play my game Camp Cryptid, card-based TTRPG. Other than that, I'm still working on games and I'm doing this. But other than that, that's all I'm really up to at the moment. So if you want to check out my game, maybe games in the future, then yeah, certified milk boy games on itch.io, and I can pass that to Alice.
Hey guys, I'm Alice Hart. You can find me pretty much anywhere online at Hellion Hart or Alice Hart. My card with all of my social media is alicehart.card, CARRD.co. Um, most I don't try and make myself scarce around the internet, so there's always something happening. I try and post that wherever I can, but most frequently you can find me uh, producing, editing, and voicing on the Actual Play podcast, Welcome to Reddington, which is a Monster of the Week podcast. Either we have just released an episode this last Friday, or we will be next Friday. But if you like Monster of the Week, Queer Found Family, and probably way too much of a horror sitcom, check us out. So tossing that over to Diana.
Hello, I've been Diana Moon. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me on Twitter, because I refuse to call it X, or Blue Sky at Diana Moon, or on YouTube and Twitch at X Diana Moon X. You can also find me most of the time on Sundays on Nerdgasm Noir's Twitch channel from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. PST with the Reclaimers. We're on all POC, TTRPG. We've been having a couple of breaks, so hopefully in theory either we'll be still running Apocalypse World or we'll be doing some spooky games. I also do design games. I have a couple of game jam games which you can find at dianamoon.itch.io, and I think that's all I need to say about myself. It's been fun.
Amazing. I've been Allie, your game master for today. You can find me at Allie_Yankta_est on social. I work in the video game industry. I talk about that sometimes when I remember to. But you can also find me alongside Anita, of course, on Elliot Andrews Productions, Masks A&G podcast, Infinity City. I play 1UP. I have video game themed powers, and I'm angsty all the time. So that's fun. Some other things just before we close out, keep in mind that the GRTW creator app is always open. If you have a story you'd like to tell, your stories are so important. We want to help you tell your stories. Please find the form in our pinned tweet. You could find links to it all over the place. Find it and submit something. I also want you to check out girlsruntheseworlds.com if you're interested in some super cool merch, and to check out a fantastic collection of zines from Girls Write These Worlds. Really full of fantastic content for whatever RPG you might want to run. Will inspire you, will thrill you, will excite you. I promise. With that, we are going to call it a night. Thank you for joining us here in Halcyon City for Freezerburnt, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.